This Sunday. Every Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
Yeah, if you smell your motor burning and up and under your hood you got some blue smoke, you've tuned into the right place. Motormouth Radio, where nothing else is working, so why should our engines? And we got the wrong song playing because I loaded a CD into number 2 to play Willie Nelson On the Road Again in memory of our recent road trips, and the damn thing ate the CD. It won't come out, it won't play it, so now luckily we had something else to play.
At least we're rocking down the highway.
We're crawling to a great start here on this fine Sunday.
That's right. Off like a herd of indecision.
Oh, yes. With your hosts, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer, Motormouth Radio, your only automotive talk show that's... Don't call us to fix anything, because at least if it's studio-based, it ain't going to work.
Got a boatload of broken crap here.
Oh, don't you know it.
I feel your pain, my son. That's I totally do. I get it. It's been 2 weeks. Is this still a car show? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, first of all, I would like to thank Matt Goman Bryan. Hey, Matt Goman Bryan, for sitting in for me last week. He did a spectacular job, a fine, upstanding a presence of co-hosting with you, and
yes, he did.
Had some chuckles. It was good. So I'd like to thank Brian for sitting in for me, keeping the seat warm. And with
yeah, look at this. We got some. Well, everybody but who I wanted, Rob. Right? We got Canned Heat, Ringo Starr, and Rosemary Clooney. Yeah, nice try. I appreciate it. Okay. Appreciate the effort.
Hey, so with Rob Leonard stepping into the studio and shouldering up to you, I used to do that with me when I was sitting in your seat. You know what? I don't miss that.
Yeah.
I don't miss that at all. You think I was going to speak longingly about it?
Yeah. Well, no, Rob. Rob knows the ins and outs of the computer system and the song.
He doesn't neglect to let you know that he knows more than you.
No, I never use it. So I always bring in my own music. So Rob thought that, hey, you know what, that should be in there, and you know what, it should be in there, but it's not.
It's not. So that's the joy of live radio. Like we always say here at Motormouth Radio, 516-572-7440 is the phone number to get a hold of us right here on this slightly humid, I guess you could say, Sunday afternoon. We're waiting for the torrential rainstorms to hit the Northeast here with great severity, but we don't know about that. We'll find out at the bottom of the hour when Ray reads the weather forecast.
Yeah, we've been in some funkish stuff here, and hey, you know what? That's the way it goes. It was a hot week. I actually did do some car work, which was quite.
What? You did car work?
A little bit, yeah. A couple things. I went over to our good friend Mike Sims' house. I had to do some the
Levittown's favorite son.
The Motormouth Radio light went up, and I had to respond. He had an issue with his '57 Chevy. He talked about that. He talked about it a little while ago with us where he was dealing with a freeze-out plug issue.
Right.
He fixed that.
He's good at plugging it up.
Yeah, he fixed that. Now he had another issue. It was a dash-related issue. He had to get the cluster back in place, and there's some fitment with it in the steering column, and so
it was basically a cluster fitment.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
I got it.
Yes. So I was going to question him more on it, and I said, hey, you know what? Because it didn't seem like a particularly hard thing to have to do. And I stopped myself because I said, listen, how many things have you gotten involved into that were seemingly easy things to do?
Oh, and you are floating in very uncharted waters, my son.
Yeah, they're familiar waters with me. And then you got stuck. You hit you
don't know how many icebergs are out there.
For a myriad of reasons. So I said, okay, let's let this go, give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll just go and take a look. So Kilowatt Kevin and I hopped in the old FJ Cruiser and flew over to Levittown. And and we got it done. We got it fixed, and
you did.
Everything was fine after that, yeah.
It was Ray and his magical hands.
Well, yes. Yeah, it was just fitment. It was just a matter of sometimes, one person looking at something that that someone else had looked at and had an issue with. And then, it was a little, funky because he's got the standard cluster, but he has an iDid It steering column, which is...
certainly did do it.
It's an aftermarket aluminum collapsible column. It's not that one-piece rod that goes from the steering box up to the.
Was that able, this is, dumb question of the day, was that able to be unbolted and dropped onto the seat so you can...
Yeah.
So it was able to be
yes,
was able to be accomplished. Okay, good.
Yes. So and part of the problem with that is the bracket. I actually looked this up. I looked up on a Tri-5 Chevy site, and unlike the cars that came after it that bolt up into under the column, these bolt in. They go forward. So the bracket is a two-piece affair, and you had to use nuts and bolts, and that was the next problem. That was the next thing to get those lined up, but we did. Got it together, and so I like to call it. Hey, you know what? You hit the wall, big deal. You know who to call, and you get some friends over, and you get to spend some time and fix it, and problem solved. That's all. That's all that matters.
So that is good. Yeah, no, it's a small arsenal of repair knowledge out on the island of Long that you tap into, or that people tap into you.
Yeah. Well,
something I do not have up here in the Constitution State.
Yeah.
Although I do have to laugh because I had an issue with my cousin Pat's Camaro. We went because since my Chrysler was belly up at the time, it was about 3 weeks ago. We took his Camaro. We went to go cruising around. We stopped at a small show up further north from where we are, and he came back. We came back with the car and put it in the driveway. He backed into the driveway and he dumped it into fourth, shut the car off, went in the house, sat and had a cup of coffee and shot the breeze for a little bit, and about, I'd say, an hour later, he went out and got in the car, and it flatly refused to move. It would start up from... Get it out of gear? Nope. The shifter would come out. You'd move the shifter into neutral to try and get it into another gear. The car wouldn't move.
So the shifter went into neutral, but it wouldn't go into gear?
Yes. Now, mind you, it's a Muncie 4-speed slush box.
Right.
And not an automatic.
Wait. Yeah. No, he's got it's a 4-speed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 4-speed car.
That's not a slush box. A slush box is an automatic.
No, it's a slush box now. Because, make a long story short, they were able to get the car flatbedded to the transmission shop, and here was the funny thing: we were able to get it into reverse, so it rolled off the flatbed, and once it was in the transmission shop, it had to back up, I'd say, about maybe 20 feet to the bay where it was going to be hoisted up. And it would back up about 4 feet before it would literally stop dead. Like you put the parking pole, it would go boom.
Wow.
And just stop. So you had to get it out of gear again and back up another 4 feet, and it would do it again. Boom. It would just stop. So the transmission guy, now mind you, there's still a problem in progress here. He was able to take it apart and there were some. The forks were good, but I think there was one or two gears that were missing a tooth.
Huh.
So yeah, we may be dumping the rear on this thing and taking a look. But I will keep you posted on the development.
So it's a rear end problem, not a transmission problem.
We don't know. It may be
Well,
both.
wait. So what forks and gears did he examine?
The Muncie was taken apart.
Okay.
And the forks were good.
The shift forks. Those are the two shift forks that move the synchros and the
But if
gears.
I'm not mistaken, I think there was either a bearing issue or a tooth issue on the gear. So, yeah, I'm going off the top of my head after a quick conversation a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was one of those things that I wanted to prime you and let you know that it just simply happened. So here's the funny thing. So I got the transmission guy. His name is Jim. I got Jim on one side. I got Pat on the other. And I went, so is it time for a Tremec?
Oh, boy.
Because this is only a 4-speed Muncie.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about having a 4-speed car, especially when it has 14 gears, is that if you're on the highway with this, at 55 miles an hour, this is what you hear.
Well, luckily we didn't hear
That's all you hear.
Luckily we didn't hear any of that. Like the mic cut it out because you were yelling so loud. But yeah, the car screams. So and I'm sure that's the original transmission to that car, right?
I don't know. I doubt it. I could honestly say
I thought that car was virtually all original. That's a 60.
No,
it was 60,
it's a 67. But
it's a 67. Okay,
it's a swapped out. I think it was a small. I think it was a 283 car. What he got.
Okay.
And dropped the 327 in there. I don't know if it was an automatic. I doubt it.
Okay.
I think it was originally a
it could be, or a lot of them. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm like, this car is either it's dying for some gears in the back or another gear in the transmission. It needs a 5-speed, I think.
Well, I will tell you this, that does make a world of difference. And the way to go is the new TKX transmission. Tell Pat to look that one up. It's Tremec's. It's their newest version. Silver Sport Transmission is who he wants to go to. We had these guys on the show years ago when they were Kiesler Transmission, and Silver Sport bought them. Jack Silver. Yeah, that's who I bought mine from. Jack Silver had bought the company, and they now make this TKX, which when you look at it, it looks like a piece of deli meat hanging in the, when the meat would hang in the deli. Literally, it's just, it looks like a bologna. It's just round. They took every corner, sharp edge, protrusion off this thing. Now it really does fit in any car without major surgery.
You don't have to ball peen the transmission tunnel, I'm assuming.
You don't have to cut a huge section of your floor out like I did. No.
I know.
Right.
It was breaking your heart.
It did.
You had to take
killed me to do that. But I will say this, and I just told a few people this just this past week. I said, once the floor is repaired, the carpet is in, and your console is in, and you don't see that, you don't even think about it anymore, because all you think about is you have that fifth gear, and it really does make a huge, huge difference.
Oh, I totally agree.
So, that's a good way to go. I mean, it's going to be. I'll tell you the truth, without talking numbers, because it all depends on where you are, to have a 4-speed rebuilt, because it sounds like he's going to definitely need internal parts. I think
that's going to be the case, yeah.
That they're available, the parts are available, but to have that done, find a guy who knows how to do it anymore. You're gonna the 5-speed is going to cost more, I think, but it's going to be an amount that's going to be. You could work into the budget.
I would think so. I mean, we're talking thousands here, and I get that. But I think it makes for a more drivable, more pleasurable vehicle. Yeah.
Let's work this on the highway. Let's work this into the budget. We'll say, hi, caller, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hello, this is Dennis from East Rockaway from the Do Nothing Club.
Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Hey, Dennis, how are you? What are you doing?
Well, we're planning our next meeting, so I wanted to know if Ray was coming to this one. He came to one last summer.
That's right. And I was just talking to Jeff, and I was talking to Ricky just yesterday, as a matter of fact. I said, hey, when's that dopey club meeting again? Damn it, I only had one meeting. I got the hat, and I want to, it's like, what they do, disband after I came in? So.
Do as little as possible.
Everybody's just too darn busy, you know what I mean?
Well, wait a minute. The whole premise of the club is guys doing nothing, so then again,
we're all married, though,
Then again, I shouldn't talk because I have the ability to do nothing, and I do more now than I did before. But yeah, I'm on board, Dennis. I'm waiting for the call.
All right, now Ray, I picked up an '81 El Camino.
Nice. Nice.
Hey,
Nice car from Oceanside, from JC Automotive. It was his car.
Okay, very good.
So I got a little rust here and there. I got to borrow that Rust-Oleum Rust Eater. What do you guys think about using that stuff? It's not going to be seen, you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Well, I haven't used the Rust-Oleum. I've used, there are a couple I've used. I used one from Eastwood, and it does work. It actually chemically neutralizes the rust and puts almost like a nickel coating on it, the Eastwood stuff does.
Right.
Eastwood
I've
stuff,
used
okay.
Extend, which
Okay.
worked, and right.
There's another one called Harbor Freight sells it in a gallon bucket that a lot of people have talked very highly of. I think they all do kind of the same thing. It's a matter of which one you want to use and have access to.
Dennis, the only thing I would suggest is wear gloves. Wear gloves. Put some protection over your face. Wear a hat.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if that stuff gets on, any of that stuff gets on your skin, it never comes off.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's trouble.
It's trouble. Yeah, it's like
All
a
right,
tattoo.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, because I
Okay.
think you're thinking about the Pour 15 type stuff that covers the rust. I think what Dennis is talking about is stuff that converts the rust, so it's just almost like a clear liquid. You don't want to breathe it or drink it though.
No, definitely not.
Are we talking chassis rust here, Dennis? Is that the main issue?
Yeah, let's see. I got a little rust underneath both doors.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
On
the
the
typical
inside.
place where it happens on those A bodies. Yeah, I get it. It's no holes, right? Then it's just rust, right? There's no rot.
Thank goodness. No holes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank goodness.
No, I don't
Yes.
blame you. Yeah, because I
I
would say, go ahead.
I think it's a G buddy, guys.
Yeah,
G-body.
it is.
Yeah, I think they
okay.
started out as A bodies and they turned to G bodies like after a certain year. I think it was 84.
Right.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So, yep. Nice ride, and I'm enjoying it.
Good. We'll be talking about that shortly at the next club meeting, so I can't wait.
Sounds good, guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, Dennis, thanks for calling.
Thanks,
All right,
Dennis.
take it easy.
All right, so long.
All right.
Stay busy.
In fact, I mentioned Ricky. I think we probably have two Ricks listening today. Rick, and both who live in Oceanside. My friend Ricky, Ricky number 1 and Rick number 2, I think, are both out there today listening. So, yeah, we got the Oceanside crowd.
So send out a big shout out to the Do Nothing Club, who's doing who's very busy right now. They're so busy they can't get together.
Isn't that right? And my buddy Jeff, the glass guy, had asked me last year, hey, we got this club. It's called the Do Nothing Club, and it's a bunch of retired guys and this, that, and the other thing. How'd you like to come down to a meeting? I'm like, yeah, sure. So of course we drank and ate and drank.
Right.
Ate.
Talked about nothing.
And just hung out. Yeah, it was a great time. It was just getting the guys together in an afternoon setting. So it wasn't like, at night. It was like, in the middle of the day. So
It wasn't like in the middle of the night in some nondescript parking lot
right.
under some incandescent bulb. Or
No,
something.
I go to Queens for those meetings. That's when I go to the UD. We have those clandestine meetings in the dead of night.
Yes,
In the dead of winter.
clandestine meetings.
Yeah.
Where things get bartered.
All still, all good guys, good things. It's just a matter of, hey, listen, you fit this stuff in where you can, when you can. And however it works out, as long as it works, then it's good. It's a good thing, So
That's for sure. 516-572-7440. So yes, I was away for the last couple of weeks, and I have come back with a review of the now non-being built Chevrolet Malibu.
yeah, which is kind of like the, I don't think being built anymore, Chevy Cruze that we're driving.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I think they've discontinued them this year. Well, 2022, I think, actually last year. But I have to admit, I was very pleased with it.
Uh-huh.
It was a 4-cylinder. I think it was 1.6, if I'm not mistaken.
1.4.
1.4.
1.4 turbo.
It has the turbo, like yours, right? Yours has the turbo as well.
That's the motor.
Right? Very pleased with this car. It had get up and go when it needed to. I could beat out a semi or two. I wasn't going to lean on it really badly. It's a rental, so you don't know who else has leaned on it in the past. But for a 12,000-mile car, it rode very well. It had wonderful table manners on the road. It was it hugged well, and it had Hankook tires.
Good tires.
Which I was pleased to see. But it was everything. Here's what I like. I'm like the ergonomic guy because I drive junk. basically. I like when you sit in a vehicle and all the buttons and all the switches are within some sort of reach.
So let me ask you a question about that, because I haven't driven to Malibu, but we do own the Cruise. Where is the door lock and unlock buttons on that car?
They are on where the handle is, in that spot where all the door handles are nowadays, or up in that upper. What would you say if you're looking at the door? Would be the upper right hand corner.
All right, good spot.
There's a door lock button there. Why? Where's yours on the Cruise?
In the stupidest place in the world.
Where?
On the center stack, left side under the radio.
That's where your door lock button is?
Yes. The door lock it on. I don't know why I didn't design the damn thing. I just own a stupid piece of crap. What do I know?
Who knows with you? Where
I
you
don't know.
apply buttons and switches.
I always thought from day one, like, there's got to be another one, right? Come on. No, like, what a stupid place. Because you have to use your right hand. You know, it's like, oh, man.
You have to reach in the car to lock the door.
Well, no, I mean, when you're in the car and you're going to leave, you have to remember, like, open the door and then push that button. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You can't do it from outside. Yeah, it's just that's why so good. At least they did something better on the Malibu.
It's funny that you shouldn't mention that, because they designed, there's this little tiny indicator light. It's a small little red light that is on the lock button of the unlock switch. Switch itself. So at night, you could see it. And that to me was a nice touch. They had a lot of nice touches in this car that I found incredibly interesting. And the thing that I was not really crazy about, but I was glad it was there, was the car does have an automatic shut-off when you stop, right? You stop the vehicle waiting for a light, boom, car shuts down after like 10 seconds.
Start-stop technology, yeah.
Right, that auto stop. So there is a button next to the hazard lights that you hit and activate that. You can turn that off. So the car will then idle instead of shutting off. And I've come to realize I'm a creeper, not a creep, although I have been.
Depends who you ask.
When I drive, I'm a creeper.
Yeah.
So I'll sit at a light and I'll just let the car creep a little bit. Let it creep a little bit. So I was wondering why the car was like, boom, starting up. And then I'd creep a little bit, boom,
right.
Shut off. Start, boom, and shut. I'm like, that's a little annoying. So I would shut that off. But the issue is that button is right next to the hazard lights. So it happened more than once. I'm driving along and I got the hazard lights going.
Right.
And the wife is like, why are the hazard lights on? You're on the highway. Yep. I'm like, I was supposed to hit the other button.
Funny. Well, I'll tell you, on our trip south, I had my choice. I needed something. There were three of us, and I had luggage, and I brought tools, and we had birthday gifts to bring. So I needed something with some storage. I was going to take the Cruise. I thought you had said you were, and I'm glad you didn't. The stuff I took wouldn't have fit. I'll tell you that right now. It wouldn't have fit. But the week before is when that cooling pipe broke on me, and then the car was running just a little funny. I said, no, this car isn't leaving the state. So I rented a vehicle. I could have had a Lexus or an Audi SUV. I turned them both down because I was afraid that the telemetrics would be I wouldn't know how to use them. So I took a Chrysler Pacifica instead. Plus, the Chrysler had out-of-state plates, which made me happy. And you know what?
Nice American car.
Took me 2.5 hours to figure out how to set the trip odometer. So much for me in ergonomics. But I will tell you another funny story about ergonomics that really is a dopey head slap moment. I was out last Sunday. We were going out to dinner, my wife and I, with some family members, and we took DFJ. So, and I don't drive it every day. I drive it maybe once every 2 weeks now. It's, I don't go anywhere a lot of times. We use the Cruise.
Because you're doing nothing.
Exactly. So I was driving and I had the AC on and I noticed wow, the center vents right over the radio, I wasn't getting air out of them. I had air out of the outer vents. And I noticed wow, what? So I mentioned I must have a stuck blend door. And, of course, when I said, what's a blend door? I said, well, that's a door, literally, with a seal inside the dash that when you select where the air goes, it opens and closes and directs the air. So then I took my fist and I smacked it on the dashboard. She said, what are you doing? I said, trying to unstick sticky blend door. I said, that works 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it makes the clock flash. It makes gauges work. Yeah, that's what it does. Sure.
So now on the way home, I picked this thread up again, and I'm looking. I'm like, damn, now it's bothering me. And I noticed a little bit of like,
So it didn't repair the problem.
no. I saw I saw a little bit of condensation on the windshield. I said, okay, some air is getting through the defroster, which happens. They don't seal off perfectly.
Right.
So with that, I said, hey, you know what? Let me just make sure. And I said, sometimes when you turn the control, you can free up a blend door. So I put it to just full defrost, and of course, full defrost. And then when I was putting it back, I found out what the real problem was.
What?
It was me. I didn't have it on dash vents. I had it on floor. Like you idiot. Put it on the right thing first and then say it doesn't work. Don't put it on the wrong thing. Good thing I wasn't like condemning this like publicly, It's like
It's so good you'd have the top of the dash off at the time.
There's another good point. You're right. What idiot. So yeah. Once I put it to that position, whoa,
holy
the
smokes.
thermometer I had in there flew out, hit me in the head. Oh yeah, what a disaster. So you know what?
I love it.
Laughable moments on the roads.
Yes, I get it. I totally get it. And yeah, there's dozens of those in my purview as well. Trying to think of just one right now. But yeah, I totally understand.
Just the stupid things, And I usually don't miss stuff like that either. But I felt ridiculously embarrassed.
Ridiculous.
I said, "Oh well, okay." So
let's see. I'm the host of an automotive talk program.
Well, one of the things, and I thought about that later. I really did. And I said, what would I have said if somebody called and asked me that question? I would have said, go through the ranges and make sure you're on the right. I would have said that to somebody.
Of course.
But,
and someone on the other end of the phone would have said, "That's stupid. I already did that."
Right. So do you take your own advice? No.
No.
So there was that.
Well, that is, talk about taking your own advice. That was something I did with a rental car, because I always say trust nobody. And when you pick up a rental car, the first thing one should do, and I say this all the time, check the oil. And that's what I did with this vehicle. I popped the hood, got it home, popped the hood, checked the oil. And there was like this little tincture, this little drop on the stick, way away from the crosshatch where it should be. And I'm like, holy smokes, this thing is totally down in oil.
Right.
So I had to call the rental company and said, look, guys, I'm going to be putting oil in this thing. Just letting you know. And they're like, no, I love the advice they gave on the phone. They're like, no, wait for the oil light to go on. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I put my family in this thing. I'm going to be in the middle of God knows where, and you're asking me to wait for an oil light to come on?
Well, yeah, because then the next thing is just wait for the tow truck to arrive.
Right, exactly. And sitting in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Actually, because no one conveniently breaks down.
On the side of the road in the rain.
Right, exactly. So that's where it's going to happen. So I went and got oil and put the oil in the car. And I'm thinking to myself the same thing. I would have gotten in a car, fat, drunk, and stupid, started driving, and all of a sudden the oil light would have come on. And I'm like, no, because if anybody would have said to me, I'm going to rent a car, I'm going to say, check the oil.
I think the rental car, I did think of this. I think the rental car industry really proves the fact that cars are better than we think they are, because nobody checks nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And this stuff goes in and out all the time. And I think my theory is that it gets checked less. I mean, they always bring it into the garage and they give it the wash and the cleaning and the windows. They got to make it look nice, and they vacuum it. But no one's opening the hood. No one's doing anything. They just out.
You're absolutely right. And here's the reason why I can agree with what you're saying. Because when I pop the hood, I see where the oil stick is, and I go to pull it out, it won't come out. It did like one of those.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's probably factory oil in that thing.
By factory sealed.
Yeah, and it's got 12,000 miles on it. Right. And mind you, I checked the oil, I put it back in, pull it out again, and of course it comes out just fine. So I know that the dirt around it was holding the stick to the engine.
Yeah, for joy.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping the vacuum contained into the engine itself. So yeah, I was a little taken aback by that. But mind you, great car. I was very pleased with it. I was very pleased with the way it performed. I can tell just by the comment I got from my wife, who said a 12-hour trip didn't feel like a 12-hour trip.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I'm like, You can't get better. I don't think you can get better than that as far as the ultimate highway vehicle, the praise therein.
Well, I'll tell you what's not always what it seems. That's the weather. And today, your WHPC weather forecast is powered by Pentanos with locations in Hewlett, Uniondale, Garden City Park, Freeport, now in Levittown. And today's forecast is not that great of a one. Keep those show cars inside, Cliff. You know that. It's a mixture of clouds and yuck with scattered thunderstorms and more yuck. It wasn't as humid as it had been, which is nice. The highs in the 80s. Tonight, there's going to be thunderstorms with local heavy rainfall, but they said some of it may miss us and stay to the west, which is good. So that would make me happy because, you can't go out and play.
Same here in the Constitution State, Cliff. Don't take the buggy out. You may have to bring a bucket, but we're looking at some scattered thunderstorms, and about highs will be maybe 3 to 5 degrees less than you guys.
Yeah. So let me tell you, it's about independent study, which is something we all need to do a little bit of now again on this station Tuesdays at 9 p.m. So at night when you have nothing else to do, 9 p.m. I'm getting ready to watch Graveyard Cars at 10. I'm hoping I can stay awake. So. This can help me stay awake.
Another show that puts you to sleep, right?
No, it's not the show. It's me. Listen, after 10 now these days, I guess because what I'm doing during the day, I'm out. The gas tank is, the battery says recharge, and I'm like, done. So
you're done.
So on Tuesdays at 9, you can listen for In the Alternative, Rock and Pop. It's music that sounds so underground, we're surprised we still get a radio signal when they play it. That's nice.
You don't need a shovel.
The host of the show, Emily, is obsessed with independent music and can't wait to share the eclectic and ever-changing music genre with you. So if you need a new study playlist, Independent Study is a playlist you've been looking for. And with that, do we have an honor group of the hour to share with the fine folks today, Chris?
Of course we do. I waited 2 weeks for this. We do. We have an honor group of the hour here at Motormouth Radio. And this week, if you go out of your way to have shiny tires, do you spend good money for products like Tire Shine Spray or Hot Shine Tire Coating? Does it give your street rod the just came from the dealer look? Yeah, you say it prevents the tire's color from fading. But when was the last time you saw the color fade from a tire? Tires can sit in direct sun in any given salvage yard for years, and they're still the exact same color. It doesn't matter if the chemicals in the shine can actually promote premature cracking. You'll take that chance for that gleam of a shiny tire. So who cares if the stuff doesn't prevent sidewall cracks? Who cares if the stuff doesn't prevent tire color fading? Who cares if your friends chuckle behind your back? If you still use a bottle of product to shine your tires, you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour.
Excellent.
There you go.
So, since we missed our first song, I do have the second song we're going to play in honor of our commemorative road trips, and then we'll be back with more Motormouth Radio. I have a story to tell you about wheel studs that was I touched on last week with Brian, and then we'll take your calls at 516-572-7440. Let's let somebody else tell us that. Yeah,
and I just interrupt you. I also have a teaser as well because I have a Malady with a 3.0 V6 Mitsubishi that we're going to discuss as well. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's take our lives and drive them away, and we'll be back with more Motormouth Radio in just a few minutes. Keep it where you got it on 90.3 WHPC.
Well, the midnight headlight find you on a rainy night, steep grade up ahead, slow me down, making no time. But I gotta keep rolling.
Let the Motormouths help you with all your car questions at 516-572-7440.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York State law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar Lifetime Nationwide Warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
You're
You're listening to the Motor Mouths.
Hey, Ray and Chris.
Did you guys read my mind?
Okay, I appreciate you having me on.
Wow, you guys finally figured it out.
Motor Mouth.
This is great. No more foolishness.
I miss my puzzles.
You're a funny guy.
I've been waiting for Sunday just to ask you guys this question.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
Well, good afternoon, guys. I need a little advice.
All right, so you got me to call it. All right.
I don't know everything. You know, you guys are mechanics.
You guys have a great show. Thank you very much.
I come with a tale of woe and a warning for the younger guys.
Chris is doing jumping jacks. He's getting ready. Ray is right behind me.
Every time I get off the air, I think,
Motor Mouth.
oh boy, they're never going to ask me back after that one.
Yeah, this is a collect call. How are you?
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
Oh, I probably called the wrong number. I was trying to get a hold of Ray.
And I wake up screaming.
So I'm very happy to listen to your good advice.
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
You know, break it down for us call guys.
All right, see you next weekend.
Motor Mouth.
I know you guys usually speak Guido,
Right.
and now you're talking Pintel and Yiddish, and this morning I happened to listen to the rabbi on your station. So it's all, I guess today's Yiddish then.
Right.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Word of Mouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Motor Mouth.
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motor Mouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
Sing it. Eddie Rabbit, driving my life away. That's what I felt like I was doing for the last week or two. So, played some good old 70s country crossover, which I always like to do. So
I always liked that song, too.
Me too. I always did. It was one of my faves.
Yeah, that's for sure. 516-572-7440. We still got a half an hour to call us and tell us to know what switch we're switching on our dashboards.
Right.
It's so funny. But yeah, just to throw out real fast, a car that I discussed many years ago in 2005 has just come back to haunt me once again. And I have maladies upon maladies to discuss about it.
We had a caller who was sitting through the break. So let's. I think we lost him. Caller,
good.
Try that again. Yeah.
Another thing that doesn't work.
Try that again. So you had mentioned that you got the Mitsubishi back, and
I got it back. Yeah, after 20 somewhat years.
So let's try the call. We'll say, hi, caller. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Chris and Ray, how are you, gentlemen?
Hey, Bob.
Robert.
What's up?
How are you?
So I wanted to share with Crazy Chris. I was making my rounds the other day, and I stopped off at the liquor store, and a gentleman there had a Suzuki Samurai green manual, Pennsylvania tags, and I'm like, oh, I got to go back.
Wow.
I went back.
You got to buy that car.
I went back, I'm like, all right, I'll buy that. I don't need it, but I'll buy it.
You would look great in that car, Bob.
Oh, please. It was just, and I never seen that green before. Never seen that green before. And it was original green. So
the manual, the manuals are the stick cars in those Samurais are desirable.
By who?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no question about it. I would have bought it.
Mm-hmm.
So I get along. I go back into the parking lot. I go back. I say, hey, listen, this is a nice truck. I said, and he was in a hurry. I think he wanted to start drinking. And
yeah, because he owns a Samurai, right?
I said, this is nice. I said, where did you get it? He goes, well, I bought it for my daughter. She lives here in town, but she doesn't want it anymore. I said, well, how much do you want for it? I said, you want to sell it to me? He goes, oh, no, I love this. I'm not selling this.
Yeah. Those are the kind of cars, Bob. When people have them and like them, they won't get rid of them. They are definitely part of the family.
No, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Bob, I can't tell you. There are people that have approached me with mine, and I think I look at them like they're out of their minds. But they do. They walk around the car and they go, is it a stick? And I go, no. And it's just like I just shot their dog. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
See, a lot of these guys who look at them, they had one prior, or they had a friend roll one, or hit somebody with it, or hit a deer or something with it.
Oh no!
You saw them a lot up in the Saugerties area. I saw a couple up there.
Yeah.
Economical on the hills, on the hills, and 4-wheel drive. But anyway, that's my Crazy Chris story.
That's a good one.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, they really are. I must admit, I laugh about it because I make fun of this of my tracker more than anybody, and it is amazing how many people come up to me and go, "That's nice. Did you plan on painting it?" Like that's always the question. But yeah, they are fun little cars, and I think I had mentioned I had one early on in the early '90s when I was working in radio, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Lastly, I had seen on the internet. I don't know how factual. I know that is that frame, that model. The longer one. What is that? The 7. Yes. That is still manufactured like in Brazil, or I think it's Brazil or Chile, and they're going to be making that in an electric vehicle.
Oh wow!
So there's a market for those vehicles.
Yeah, I totally believe it, and yeah, that is one of the few successful world cars. It's built everywhere. It really is.
Yeah.
It is
like you can get that. You find one in Mexico because there's no inspection in Mexico.
Right. Yeah, they love those.
Anyway, guys, thanks for a great program.
Thanks, Bob.
Have a great week.
All right, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Always a pleasure. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
There's a fan for something everywhere. There's any car that's out there. There's going to be a lover of it.
Yeah, it's true. There's a seat for every butt.
Yep, without a doubt. So what do you have to do with your Green Devil there?
I got the car back. It had a P301. So what I did was I popped the intake off it, swapped out the plugs, slapped the intake back on, went for the rotor and the cap, swapped that out, cleaned everything up. I can't tell you the amount of clips that were broken on this thing. Mismatched screws, nuts, and all kinds of. It truly was put together by Staten Island's finest mechanics.
Oh boy!
So I'm calling y'all out, Staten Island. You guys are doing a great job.
Right.
So this is the result of it. I got pictures to prove it. But yeah, nonetheless, now I get a P300 code.
Okay.
I dropped one.
Lots of random misfire.
Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. Right after this program, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to check if the timing belt skipped a tooth.
Oh.
I did some research, and it's got one of those type of idles that you just cannot seem to. You can't poke the bear. Anything I do, the idle stays the same. It's got this rough rock to it. You can still feed gas, but it's not smooth. It's like it gives you that. So I'm like, and I'm thinking timing, but you can't time this car. Mm-hmm. It's electronically timed. So I'm thinking maybe there's a timing belt issue. Now, mind you, I've actually put that timing belt on the car 60,000 miles, but who the heck knows what's happened to it in the last 20 or 30,000 miles, because it's got like 89 on it now.
Right.
So I don't know what my crazy family did with it. So I'm gonna have to diagnose and figure it out. But that's what I want to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the mark to 0, set the crank pulley to 0, and then I'm gonna pop the access caps off because it's a twin cam. So I'm going to see if those marks are aligned on the gears.
Yeah, bring it to top dead center, and you should see. Hopefully, you won't be like my Fiat and have conflicting marks from what's on the sprockets to what the book shows, which is what I ran into.
Oh, well, it's, of course, the Italians.
I've told that story, and I've posted it. It was when I did a belt on a car after I got it, shortly after I got it, and that's what I found. I was setting up the twin cams, and there were 2 sets of different marks on the cams, on the sprockets, yeah. So I said, okay, well, I got to find out which one's a which.
Which mark do you follow? Yeah.
I think I went into the Haynes manual first, and it showed me something that I didn't have, and I went into the And I actually went to the factory service manual, which showed me something that my car didn't have. And where did I find the correct information? I don't even know what made me look there. In the owner's manual that you find in the glove box, there's a section for timing belt, and they showed the correct marks that my cam sprockets had.
Oh, that's hysterical.
And I set them up with that, and the car fired right up. It solved the problem the car had, which was a little bit of a long crank. It didn't one of the cams was out by a couple degrees, and it had a little bit of a long crank. I always thought the car should have fired over it better, and it didn't. Now I set the marks, boom, fires right up. So, yeah, you may be onto something.
I totally agree. Yeah, it doesn't do a long crank, but it just has a very mechanically inaccurate idle. It's the only way I can describe it.
All right.
It's very sharp.
Yeah.
The engine is moving very sharply. It's not like it's loping. It's everything. It's got like a very mechanical, like the Chrysler did before I started messing with the carburetor on that car.
Wow.
Oh, mind you.
Yeah.
I set everything on that carburetor to spec on that piece of junk Holley 4160, and it is now tolerable.
Okay.
I actually fired it up, and it ran. It didn't need massive choke like it always did. It would need a massive. It would take forever to get that car to run correctly. So you had to set the idle on not high, but you had to set it up there to keep the car running. Doesn't have to do that anymore. Now you get it fired up.
A lot of times that's indicative of a vacuum leak, and by what you're doing is you're choking off air. But whatever. Okay, so I guess you fixed something without.
I did. It is now tolerable. So
good.
So, and all I did was just set it to spec, everything to spec. I followed the book to the letter.
Well, that's good because that's the car you and Pat are going to be cruising to the shows in now.
Now, yeah, exactly. So we got to rely on that thing.
Back to his Camaro. Let me ask you, what are his thoughts on that transmission issue? Is he open to changing to the 5-speed?
No, I don't think he's
not.
I'm trying to strong arm him, and he's holding firm. He's digging his heels in. Well, he wants to keep the Muncie.
Okay. But
I'll keep you posted. Believe me. I'm going to keep you. I wanted to let you know about this before I forgot because it was 3 weeks ago.
I'll tell you this.
Now, of course, my brain is foggy.
Well, since he doesn't really go a lot of cross country and long distance stuff, and probably not even a lot of highway. It's hung up on something, Kim.
It's stuck on the feet.
While Ray is doing CD rack repair, as he's discussing car problems.
Yeah, I think that Pat might be better off if he was to spend about the same amount of money that the Tremec would cost him. Right. But go for the 4-speed rebuild and a higher rear end gear. In other words, numerically lower.
Yeah, I think he's got a 410 in the back of that thing.
Oh yeah, that's.
It needs a higher weight gear.
No, if he went to even 330 or 350s would be good. Or he could go down to 308s if he wanted to.
Well, I think he likes off the line rapid acceleration. So as well.
Well, the 410s are good for that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So he doesn't want to really compromise that, but it really on the highway, it's just it's loud. I mean, it's running fine. Don't get me wrong. It is a sweet running car.
Oh yeah,
it's loud. Hey, here's another thing. Just to get back to the Chrysler for 1 second. You know when, and I know this happens to you. You know when you're in the garage with your car and the car is running. You shut the car off. You leave the garage. You walk into your house, and your house now smells of the garage because your clothes smell like the garage.
Right.
So this, I have to admit, this is what I was tolerating with the Chrysler before I messed with the carburetor. Now, with the carburetor set within spec completely, I don't have that problem. I had the car running for about 20 minutes. I was in the garage with the car, and I stepped out of the garage, went into the house, and I smelled my clothes. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't smell like
the CO
like,
isn't off the chart. Do you remember when I first did my Pontiac? I was having all that trouble with the carburetors. I would walk into the studio and you'd say, "God, where were you at the because that smell it permeates you, and that's the stuff you really don't want to smell too long because it makes you do things like not set your AC controls right. It's a
little spousade.
It's a little bots is what happens, and you're like, and it may not manifest itself till years later.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I think I'm finding that out now. So no, I think. Well, let me put it to you this way. Back to Pat again, because this is a subject I like. If he went with the 5-speed and kept the 410s, I was thinking about going to a lower gear in my car, which is a higher numerical gear. I have 373s in my car, and I'm thinking, damn, I should have 390s or 410s in that car.
Right.
To keep the RPM higher in the upper ranges, because I can't shift into 5th gear until I'm doing about 70.
Oh, come on. Really?
Yeah, really.
How come? What will it do if you shift in any low speed? It'll bog?
I mean, the motor has enough power to pull it, but I'm going to say you're under the gear. It's like the way you drive. It's like putting it, like going from 4th gear at 25 miles an hour. It's like, no, it's not. It's, there's not enough gear to move the car. So I can cruise at 70 in 4th gear in my car, which is fine. But if I put it in 5th, now I'm down like 1,700 RPM.
Yeah,
I told you that's when I had the problem. My water pump wasn't turning fast enough. I wasn't cooling. I had to go to a high performance water pump because the engine wasn't spinning fast enough.
Got it.
So I was thinking I should change my gears. So the 410s with the 5-speed will give you a killer first gear. I mean, it really. Those trains have low first gears as it is, and Pat he could start in 2nd easily. Really could, because I could start in 2nd in my car if I had to.
Right. No, I totally. You guys have both had the torque to.
So he may be better off keeping the 4-speed, but then dropping his gears down into the 300 range somewhere. I don't know if I'd go as far as 308s.
That's a highway gear,
but there's plenty of gear in between. There's plenty of 390s, 373s, 355s. There was a 343 available, and you got to see what's available now from the manufacturer. So of course, a shop would have to take take the axles out, disassemble the rear. I'm assuming it's a posi rear.
It is.
See if they could reuse his posi unit. If not, Eaton makes a nice true track posi, which is great. Use one in my car, and then it's a matter of setting the ring and pinion in and setting the lash and getting the spacers right, and so there's some labor involved. It's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be a couple hundred. It'll be it'll be in the thousands.
I'm sure it will.
But then he can keep the 4-speed and not really kill his performance totally, but then have more legs on the top end and not have to worry about cruise. Because with 410s and a 327 and a 4th gear, which it's a 1-to-1, he's got to be over 3,500 RPM, 3,600.
Oh, I think it's more than that. Yeah,
it could be depending on the tire size. Yeah, he's got pretty big tires on the car.
Yeah, there are. But that's I always feel it. Why stick with a 4-speed? I've had numerous vehicles that only had 4-speeds, and I'm just talking about stock cars. That nothing in any performance range. And one of them was that little Civic that I had. I mean, this is the complete other end of the spectrum, what we're talking about now. And that car was dying for a 5-speed. I'd be on the highway with it, and I'm in 4th, and you would just almost reactionary. You come out of 4th, and now you're looking for 5th gear, and there's no 5th gear there.
Yeah.
Now you're coasting.
That's true. No, I've
back and forth again.
See, but that's the difference on a performance car, an American car like the Camaro or anything else of that nature. You know that it's got a 4-speed. You're programmed different. Now, if I was to get into one, I may instinctively go for 5th because I do have that in my car. But before that, no, I wouldn't have. I would have just been, you just know it's a 4-speed.
Just lumbering along.
And I tell you, I drive my car like it's a 4-speed. I drive it like it's a 4. I only put it in 5th when I know I'm going to be doing when I can hit 70 or more.
And stay there.
Let's see what the callers have to say about this. Let's go to the phones, go to the fun. Let's go and say, hi, caller, you're on with the Motor Mouths.
Hey, guys, me, Rob. How you doing?
What's up, Rob?
What's up, Rob? How are you?
Hey, Chris, what's happening up there in beautiful downtown Connecticut?
Oh, loving it. The trees are in bloom. The squirrels are running around. We got groundhogs. It's just a beautiful thing.
It's Groundhog Day every day up there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I have a question for you, a sensor question. So the engine I've got here is the 3-valve 4.6 engine in the 06 Mustang, right?
Right.
Yesterday I'm driving along, I get a check engine light. So I go and I put the code reader on it. It's a P0193, which is a fuel rail pressure sensor, above expected value, all right? So... so that was like all yesterday, right? So I was like, all right, I got to go into the auto parts store this morning and get the sensor. This is probably what it is. So I get in the car this morning, started up, no check engine light. Okay, so I just
we're losing you, Rob.
Yeah, Rob, you're breaking up.
Get closer to something metal.
Yeah. Think we might have lost him. Yes,
we lost him.
We did. He went right out into
too much pressure. He should have checked his cholesterol. It's the only thing I could have.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So, hey, something I want to mention, and I'm going to modify our out song today. It's 10 years ago tomorrow that we lost our good friend and frontman of the Good Rats, Pepe Marcello.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's man, how 10 years flies, right?
Yeah,
so,
holy smokes.
As I've done in the past and don't do too often, I'm going to use a different out song to honor Pepe and his memory, and of course, the legacy of the Good Rats, which we love so much. So, yeah.
It's so funny because I loved when you came in and said, look, I'm going to bring Pepe on the program. And I went, why?
Yeah.
And he said because I love him and I think he would make a great addition to the program. And everybody has a car story. And I went, you know what? That's a fine reason to do it.
I'll tell you the truth.
So glad we did.
I had seen we had seen him at the original group's reunion in Westbury. It was myself, Kilowatt Kevin, and Joe D went. Mm-hmm. And I called their hotline and asked, to get a hold of Pepe to come in, and I got a phone call back. I still have the call on an answering machine, and he called back and he talked to me. He said, listen, he says, Ray, goes, your name, the names sound familiar, not just because you're Italian, just because it sounded familiar. He goes, and I went and looked. He did all the booking himself. He goes, I went through the roster list of tickets. He goes, you bought 3 tickets to our show. They were $75 a piece. That's 10 years ago. He says, you're not a casual fan. He says, I know you're a real Rats fan. If you're spending money like that, he said, so you know what? I don't even know what your show's about. I don't care. I'll do it. He goes, you're there for me. And he says, I'll be there for you. And I said,
that's awesome.
That was Pepe Marcello. That was the man.
A true gentleman. Wow.
Yeah. He didn't know what he was walking into, but he was ready.
Yeah. You know what? He did. We got to find that show. We got to actually dig it out for the archives.
We have it.
Yeah.
So
that was a good show because he even said it. I remember him saying, look, I don't know anything about cars, but I got car stories.
Right.
And it was one of those things that kind of woke me up and said, you know what? Everybody has a car story.
Right.
Everybody. And that's the true joy of this program and the true joy of Pepe at the time.
So I'm going to take it out with Clash Kebab. Chris, what do we say to people who are waiting for me out in the parking lot to hear more Good Rats?
Don't follow us home. Make sure you know all the switches on your dash, though.
Exactly. So for Chris Switzer, Ray Guarino, in memory of Pepe, God rest your soul, Pepe. We love you. Motormouth Radio will be back next week. Maybe with a guest, maybe not. I don't know. But right now, rock it to the Good Rats because these guys, they deserve all the credit in the world because they are. You listen to this, you're going to love it. On 90.3 WHPC.